Okay, cool. Well, I'm excited. We're finally here, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the latest episode of Magnolia House podcast. Today I've got Sir Reginald, Commodore.
That's right.
Motu Mikey. That's how you say it, right?
Yeah.
And
you
Michael
nailed it.
Gribbin. Let's give a round of applause. I'm going to edit in some applause. I'm stoked because I don't know if I told you this, but when I was thinking about doing this a while back, you were the first person I wrote on my list who I wanted to talk to.
Thanks, dude.
Because I just think you're such a badass. You're such a badass. You're someone I've always looked up to. Because,
Dude, thank
you know, I think I kind of consider myself a creative person. I think any creative person's dream is to just, do it as often, hopefully make some money off of it.
Yeah.
And, share it with people.
Yeah.
And I feel like you've kicked ass in all those arenas,
Yeah.
which is, again, I have a million things to talk to you about and ask you about. So right now, do you have a normal job or are you just doing?
Yes.
Yes.
So I feel like I've always kind of had a job that I could fall back on.
Yeah.
When I'm able to do all these little side hustle creative things.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm actually in advertising. I'm working for a company called Outfront Media, and we do out of home digital billboards.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. In Spokane, Washington, we control like billboards in Times Square, in LA, like all over the country.
Wow.
Just out of
You've been doing that
Valley.
with them for a while, right? Because I think I
Yeah.
talked to you a while ago and that's what you were doing.
No,
years ago.
Yeah, 2017, I think, is when I
Yeah.
started there.
Okay,
So I've been
that's
there for
cool.
quite a while. So.
Yeah. Do you ever foresee yourself doing, your creative stuff full time? Because that's like the dream for me.
Yeah, no, it's hard. I kind of battle with that idea because I think I find a lot of peace in knowing that it isn't my full-time gig.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy being like, oh wow, I'm really burnt out. Like
Yeah.
I could just take a month and just, like watch Netflix.
Yeah.
And then okay, I'm reset, like I can jump back into something new and yeah. So I think when you're doing it full-time by yourself, you're kind of forced
Yeah.
to do that, which some people love that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's good for, the creative process to have those deadlines and whatnot. For me, I'm fairly comfortable in how, I'm working a job that I know can pay the bills if I'm not doing anything. And then the time that I have available outside of that, I can jump into things. But I mean, the most recent thing is the ceramic stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, if that got to a point where, I was making more than my current job and I could just keep doing that, of course there's always the option to just jump into that.
Is your job fulfilling creatively for the most part, or?
I think it has some creative aspects to it. So basically what I do, my title's a live data manager. So say there's like a Seahawks game and we have a client that says, hey, we want to have a live billboard up on the side of the road that says the score, the time, all that stuff. So then they kind of give me all those assets. And then within our software, we kind of put it all together to make it just look like, the Seahawks.
That
with all
sounds
the, like,
stressful.
Yeah,
like,
no,
on
it
something
can be.
that big.
No,
like,
it can be like we
so
do
many
a
people
lot
to
of stuff
see.
for like McDonald's, like in Times Square
man.
for like New Year's. Like we're
Jesus.
working on something like that right now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be stressful for sure, but you kind of have to distance yourself from it though, because there's like, it's like there's the account executives and the, you're not, most of the time you're not talking directly to the client.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are, but having that layer.
Sometimes you're talking personally to Ronald McDonald. And then,
yes, exactly. And then,
yeah. When you mess up,
then
he
you're
kicks you with his
sweating
clown
bullets.
shoes. Yeah. He six grimace on you when you mess up. It's just blank stare grimace.
Yeah, dude.
How did you get into the tiki world? Like this thing, I've looked at your site. This one's my favorite. It's so the color choices, the look,
Right, dude?
it's so cool looking.
And actually, I didn't even pick the colors. My wife picked the colors. Yeah. So she helps me a lot with pretty much every aspect of, of the
and
process.
she's like a creative person as well. Like she's in that world. Yeah.
No, because she's been doing a lot of like embroidery projects, and then with the painting, and she's a great writer.
Yeah.
And so she loves all that
cool.
stuff. But as for the tiki stuff, I mean, I've always kind of done photography. Like that's just been my creative outlet. So going into the pandemic, I feel like we had a lot of plans to go and travel, like everybody else. We wanted to go travel, do this and that, and we couldn't anymore because the world shut down. And I love shooting locally, but I've shot a lot of the places so much locally that I was like, okay, go to here and there. And then they started even closing some of the national forest
Which
land.
is crazy.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, what?
It's like some stranger's going to walk up to you and be like,
I know, it's like, this is the one place we can go, like outside.
Yeah.
So that happened, and then even and then the opposite, like the national parks just exploded. Like there are people everywhere, and I'm a very I like people
catching all them Pokemon. Pokemon Go.
That's right,
There's a Bulbasaur
dude,
over
I caught one just like outside your house. It was
really?
Yeah, I'm still playing.
You're still playing? You're their one customer left.
No, dude, me and my wife, my brother, dude, we're just like on
funny.
it. Yeah. We love it. No, but national parks, you just go and it's just like wall to wall people.
Yeah.
And I love going to places that are lesser known, harder to reach.
Yeah.
I just like thrive off of that. Like I think that's great. So it was just this weird time where I was like, normally I have this creative outlet of going and shooting photos. And I don't really have that anymore.
Yeah.
And I've never really been like someone to build things like physically with my hands, but I just like wanted to I felt like my hands
something
like
physical.
I want to move something around, and so it was like I actually don't know where me and my wife, we went on our honeymoon in French Polynesia, which sounds like super bougie, which to a point it like the flight to get there was. Yeah. But we didn't like stay in Bora Bora. Like we didn't get like the overwater like bungalow and stuff, because what we do is we love Kauai and like Hawaii, the Hawaii that's like rugged and hard to get to. We love that. So I was like, well, what's like the kind of step up from that? Because since it's like our honeymoon, we want to do like a once in a lifetime kind of thing. And so I found these like islands called the Marquesas, and they're like pretty much that, but they're like one of the most remote islands like you can go to. So we went there, and it was like an adventure. Like it was insane. Like we thought, like they had like one like store on the island that we went to that was open like 3 hours a day.
It was the only store?
Yeah, it was like
oh,
one
that's
store.
crazy.
But it was like really fun, and it was definitely like an adventure. And I saw this kind of form there. This guy, this is
the first one. You worked on this one for fucking ever, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like I saw it
like too long
ago.
Like,
yeah.
Like I should have just finished it up. But I saw a lot of these.
Well, they're selling like hotcakes now. I saw you're like basically sold out, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. No, we're pretty stoked how many we've sold. Yeah. But it's based on a war club, the Marquesan War Club, which I keep going on side tangents, but
that's okay.
I feel like getting into this, my favorite part has been learning about the like cultures and learning about like where it came from, because tiki in itself, like when people talk about like tiki culture, it's really like, it's not a Hawaiian thing. It's not a Tahitian thing or whatever. It's a California thing. Like it's a SoCal.
Yeah.
Like that's where it started.
Which was surprising to me.
Yeah.
Because I remember they told me that when I worked at Rumba for a bit.
Yeah.
And they said you would think
so you probably know a lot about it after.
Probably not. Because I got fired. So I didn't show a lot of interest in the place, which is why they let me go, and other reasons. But.
Yeah. Well, to sum up your first question, basically, yeah, I saw this form there. I saw the war clubs. I thought they were really cool, and they just kind of caught my. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
like, which is really interesting about it because a connection I made recently with these is it's kind of a similar form as like that Egyptian, like I don't know how you say it, like Ankh or that. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like, it's kind of like a circle. It's pretty much a cross with a circle.
Oh, yes. Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. Yu-Gi-Oh.
yeah. There you go.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
That's a connection I make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like a symbol that kind of like represented like power and stuff. And so like with this, it's kind of similar where it has the like part come out and it has a more circular top to it. So anyways, thought it was really cool, got home, and then went through that whole wanting to make something with my hands. And I was like, well, I mean, it'd be really cool to just make like a tiki mug.
Yeah.
And I looked for a tiki mug like that had been made, you know, in this style, and there really wasn't one. So I was like, all right, well, I'll
That
just
brings
do it.
me to a point. I saw you post that guy who's being kind of a jerk.
Oh, yeah.
And I looked at his profile, and he was like a collector.
Yeah.
And I was like, his curation is so lame.
Yeah.
Like, it was not interesting to look at. I was like, and he's shitting on you. I was like, this guy's a bozo. Like,
yeah. No, it's interesting because and I don't, you know, when I first kind of started doing this, I had a few hate comments that were like basically saying like I couldn't do this.
like appropriation.
Cultural appropriation.
You're appropriating SoCal.
Yeah. Well, but then in this case, so it was interesting because I got that feedback, and to a point I understood it.
Yeah.
And I was educated by
Yeah.
it. You know, I was like, oh, okay, maybe when I'm doing these things, I need to be a bit more careful than just straight up, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it and sell it.
Well,
and at the
they're
time,
going to be
there was-
like white guy, cisgendered
Yeah,
guy,
exactly.
profiting off of our
Yeah.
culture, which I got to say, I'm kind of like an outlier on this.
Yeah.
I don't believe in appropriation.
Yeah.
I think we're all human beings.
Mm-hmm.
All human history, all culture belongs to all people.
Yeah.
And it's, as long as you're not like blatantly disrespecting somebody's culture,
Yeah.
anything like that, it's just appreciation.
Yeah.
Like, especially if
Well, and
you're
that's art.
if you're a
I
fan
mean,
of it
right?
too.
And art in itself is just, you know,
Yeah.
imitating and copying and
Yeah.
changing and evolving. And, you know, like you said, I feel like when I was doing this, it wasn't like, that's a cool design. You know, like I'm going to take that and I'm going to
Yeah.
profit off of it. I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
sell this and make all this money. And like, what it was I thought it was cool, and I wanted other people to see
Yeah.
it. You know, like I wanted to make something for me,
Yeah.
but then I also wanted like, you know, half the people I talk to about this are like, I've never seen that before in my life. And now they have like, you know, a look into that Marcasian culture that was almost stamped out by Europeans,
Yeah.
you know, by
your people.
Yeah, yeah. By
By your
my father.
ancestors. My dad just stomped one out last week.
No. But yeah, so I've really enjoyed learning about everything that I do.
Yeah.
So like the same thing with these guys. So this guy's based off of a war club, and I mean the real ones are incredibly like beautiful and intricate, and you know I encourage you to check them out. This one's you know, the white man's version, but but these guys are
Those
actually
are so cool.
Yeah, so these guys are, his name's Bonehead, and I actually saw in a local gallery, they have a lot of native stuff, and this guy was basically inspired by it was this whale vertebrae. That was
I think I saw
this.
that post. Yeah.
Yeah. It was behind glass, and it was this whale vertebrae, and it didn't have any eyes. It just had kind of like a similar-ish mouth to this, and then it was just, and then it didn't have these obviously because whale vertebrae doesn't have that little part. But, and I was like, that is so cool.
Oh, so it would connect. I'm gonna try to be very gentle. It would like connect like this.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like-
So it was just kind of
Yeah,
stacked, and
okay,
that's how they
yeah.
looked without these.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, no, I thought it was really interesting, and I was like, okay, now that I've learned a lot about the Marcasian culture with like how they do circles and lots of eyes and lots of faces. The face and the head was very important in their culture. So I was like, okay, what if I took this like, it's Tlingit, I think is how you're supposed to say it. It's spelled T-L-I, but it's kind of like Tlingit.
Yeah.
Like it's like this.
Yeah.
But I was like, what if those cultures kind of merged in a way? Like, what would that look like? And then it's interesting. I love.
So now
this.
you're just appropriating 2 cultures.
Now I'm bringing in. How many can we appropriate? No, because then I learned more about this, and there was one of the original uus was found in a Tlingit
Oh, really?
camp,
Yeah.
like half a world away. And so people
Wow.
were like, well, how'd this get here? And people think, well, it was probably traded or something
Yeah.
by some friend. But
What kind of time frame?
From,
Like how?
oh man, like 1800s.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So they saw some Tlingit guy walking down the street with one of these, And so I was like, well, that's so interesting that then maybe what if that guy was an artist and he loved what he saw with this and then introduced that. So that's what I kind of tried to do with this and did the really big eyes. That's kind of like Marcasian. And then I wanted it to have another head on this side.
Oh.
Right.
Like
and then
owl-esque,
another head.
like
Yeah.
bird
Kind of like
kinda-
a bird, like
yeah.
either a crow or a more of like a jungle bird. Cause it's kind of, which fits more with like the tiki.
It reminds me of a
like,
character from a cartoon, but I can't remember.
I know, right? It kind of looks like the Gamorreans on Star Wars, the green Zaddy dudes,
Are they called zaddies?
No.
Okay, I was like, dang.
No, I think they were in like the
Zaddy.
Mandalorian, and people were like, "Ooh," like because their like butt cheeks were sticking out. I
Oh,
don't know.
that's so funny.
But yeah, so then that's the one that's like meant to look like a bone, and
Yeah.
then this one is the one that my wife painted. That's a bit more taking inspiration from like the actual like totem poles and the different
The color
things like that.
choices are just
Yeah.
it's so cool.
Yeah, and then on the bottom I have that's the logo I made for
Oh.
it. It's a whale.
Is it because it
and
was
then
inspired
says-
by the whale vertebrate?
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That is
I can talk about these all day. So
well,
I love it.
I've actually looked into like working with clay myself, but like even just like what is it called? Like a pottery wheel?
Yeah,
They're so freaking expensive.
Oh yeah,
They're
yeah.
stupid expensive.
No, the best way is to just like take a class or something
Yeah.
for sure. You
But
just go to a
I've always like wanted, as you can tell, I like to have home setups for stuff.
Yeah. No, me too.
And I just want to be able to do it whenever I want without asking permission.
Yeah.
But then even like I saw you just got a kiln and
Yeah.
like that probably
Yeah.
you're never gonna be able to retire probably.
No. That was a big boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had a small like my whole garage is kind of like a ceramic studio now. Like it, except for a throwing wheel. Like I don't have that.
Oh, because you just.
I
sculpt it out
actually
by-
don't. Yeah, I don't throw at all. So all of these are the process. Kind of goes like this: like you get whatever clay that you want to make it out of.
Yeah.
You build it. You kind of let it dry, or you spray it with something to seal it so that it's, ready to go. And then from there, you have to make a mold of it.
Yeah.
So for this guy, actually,
What do you mean, like a metal?
well,
mold,
that's
or-
what I'm gonna explain because with this guy it's a little complicated. But with this guy, so what you do is basically this is just like a solid form. There's no cup part of it. What I
Yeah,
made
you
was
have to
just like
hollow it out or-
solid,
Yeah.
solid clay. And so what you then do is you block off. So this is a 2-part mold, one in the front and one in the back. And then these teeth are added on later. So
Yeah.
you have to kind of picture it not having any teeth. But basically I block it out with clay out to here and here. And then you pour plaster in the front. And then it goes up. So it's only covering half of it. That hardens. And then you take the clay off and then you spray it with some stuff so it won't stick. You pour the plaster on the other side. And so now you have 2 pieces, right?
Yeah.
So then you could take that apart and then you take those 2 pieces. Well, actually there's 3.
Oh, so the plaster
There's
is
a
the
bottom.
mold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So the plaster, once you have that mold of the plaster, because what plaster is it's kind of like, it's like a hard sponge.
Yeah.
So once you have this block with a hole in it, you can take what's called slip. It's kind of like a liquid clay. And then you pour that into the mold, and essentially the plaster sponge sucks out all the water then leaves this residue of the clay on the outside of it.
So can you reuse that plaster mold?
Yeah.
Where does the stuff that it soaked up, where does that go? Does it
the
just
water,
evaporate?
it just evaporates.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it soaks up some other things like some minerals, so you'll start to see the mold turning yellow, and eventually it'll start breaking down. So you can only make a certain amount.
Yeah. So when I saw you like sculpting it out and whatnot, were you making the solid one for the mold?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because every time say we have our mold done, because there's another level to that. So like I said, the plaster mold, it'll deteriorate over time. It'll start to yellow, and the details will start to go away a little bit. So what you want to do is once you make that plaster mold, you want to make a mold
of the mold.
Yeah. In like silicone.
That's
so you
cool,
make a silicone mold, and then it's really funny. It looks like in Star Wars, like carbonite, like Han Solo. Like
yeah.
It looks like that, but with like bonehead like sticking out of it. It's funny. But yeah, so then you could just pour plaster and make as many molds as you want.
Okay, cool.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So
did you learn, like, I think it's kind of crazy. Oh shoot, I gotta plug in my computer. I'll do that in a second. It's so cool. Like anything I know about audio production, video production, music making, any of that stuff, I just learned on YouTube. Is that how you learn that? It's crazy you can learn anything.
Which is super cool because YouTube, like there's a lot of stuff on old forums for this stuff. Usually, I feel like this is kind of changing, but ceramic artists usually aren't like influencers, you know, like, hey guys, this is how you do, you know. And so like there is one, his name's Tiki, and he makes these YouTube videos that are just like literally like what I explained to you. Like he just breaks it down step by step.
Probably while doing it, maybe.
While doing it, showing you, oh yeah, this is the tool here. Go and
do you ever consider making that kind of? Everything is time consuming. Like
that's the thing, dude. Like I started a few months ago with the goal on my Instagram that I would make one reel a day,
which is
harder
gosh. Than you would think. It's like so much work.
Hard.
Yeah.
But it's like also at the same time it pushed me to be like, oh, this isn't good enough. And it's like, well, I need to get something out. Okay, I guess it's fine.
Yeah, less precious.
And then a lot of times those things are the ones that like
that pop off.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you spend like 2 days like doing this reel, like you're doing transitions, like trying to do and then like 2 likes.
Yeah.
And then you do like
you just film something
like
with
I
your
filmed
iPhone.
my wife like doing it and then like laughing, and then it's like sweet.
Do you like back up stuff, like make multiple ahead of time and then post? Because I'm finding the more I'm doing this kind of stuff, I have to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be so inconsistent and sporadic.
I go through spurts. Like I'll if I have like a few good ideas, then I'll like, you know, try and knock a few of them out. But like recently, it's been a lot slower. But it's been also not as slow at my work, at my adult job. So I've been trying to kind of balance it a little bit more. We've also kind of just finished these, and it felt good to just like
felt like you hit a landmark and
like
you just
we finished. So we're over halfway through of the edition of them. So I am gonna make some more.
How many did you make for this initial?
So I've made, I think we're at number 80.
Damn.
So yeah.
And how long does it take you to even just make one?
Well, that's the thing is like when you make them, you want to do them in a big batch.
Yeah.
So it's like.
So can you make a bunch of molds and then?
Yeah. So that's exactly what we do. So like with those silicone molds, I will pour like 4 molds out of those silicone molds in a day. Let them all dry. And then like 2 weeks later when they're all dried out.
It takes that long.
Yeah.
Dang.
Especially here.
Is there a thing that you can like some expensive thing that you can buy that just dries them out within a day? Or yeah.
Pretty much.
Hire like somebody to blow on it full time?
Yeah, no.
Almost there, sir.
No, if you set it up with a fan and make sure the air is dry, it's usually quicker than 2 weeks. But
dang. It's such
so
a process.
you get like 5 of those. So like a production day for us would be like wake up early, get those 5 molds ready, pour each one of those molds. You have to wait for a certain amount of time for that clay so it takes about like an hour for that to happen, for it to solidify on the sides. Dump the excess out. I put a little bit back in, put the top on, and flip it over. That's kind of the way that I do these ones. It's kind of like a little weird, but it works. So then it has to sit for like 4 hours. Yeah. So once I do those 5, like in the morning, I'll do that, and then I'll do whatever I have to do.
Is there no seam? Like...
So yeah, there are.
You have to cover it and like smooth it out or something?
Yeah. So basically, after that 4 hours or so, we'll take all the plaster pieces off real carefully. I'll go through and I'll cut this hole on it. And then I need to go, there's a seam line that goes from here over, down, on this side, around here. And there's one there, and there.
Oh, dang.
So I need to go through, usually Emily does this. She does a really good job where she'll go in and smooth it. And so you can barely even tell they're there unless you're looking for them.
You're so lucky you have a partner who's like,
dude,
down with all the same,
I think
like,
that's like
creative with you.
80% of this.
Yeah,
like
really.
I literally like I could do this by myself, but I think I maybe would have made like a third of what I've done.
And it's probably more fun too when you have
it's great. I mean, I'm able to, because then I'm also able to focus on other things that I like, because she enjoys doing the seaming. Yeah. She likes doing the painting, and she likes doing the shipping. Yeah. And I hate shipping. Yeah. It is like the bane of my existence.
I bet.
Oh my gosh.
Which
so
you probably
she's just like, I got it. Print out the label and then just like, it's great.
You should make a video of her doing that and input the sound effects you just did. But that's so. Isn't it weird? Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, real quick, just once that's done, we'll seam it. We cut the hole. We have to let it dry. Oh, wait, no. And then we got to put these heads on. So each one of these heads is an individual mold that we put clay into, let it dry, pop it out, and then attach each one. Because I wanted, if that was the only way for me to get details on the sides, because the mold goes directly on. So if there was any sort of detail that went in, it would work as a hook and it would grab, so you wouldn't be able to pull it off. Yeah. So that's a huge thing with mold making. It's called undercuts that you really need to watch out for, because you can get to a point like how I said, you build up the clay and then you pour the plaster in. If there's anything for that plaster to grab onto or go into a crack and then harden, it's stuck. Like you can't get it off. So yeah.
So how many man hours do you think, aside from like time to like dry, but like for each one?
I have a reel where I did it. I was like, how long does it take to make one mug? And I like did the, but over, I don't know what it is, but it's a decent chunk of time because I mean, it's like the 4 hours of the initial, and then the letting it dry, and then the prep. I mean, I'd say like 60 hours.
Dang.
A lot of that being waiting, for things, but still, it's like still part of the process, like not 60 hours of like.
It's weird when you find something you're interested in, and especially if eventually you ideally would like to monetize it or something. But in the first steps of doing anything, it's like this podcast. Like, there's no real reason for me to do it other than I enjoy it. Yeah. But it's so much work and such an investment.
I know.
Like obviously you saw how stressed out I get, like making sure everything's set up. But then you have to buy all the equipment, and then the editing time, like editing an hour and a half or 2 hour podcast or 40, even a 30-minute podcast.
But if you enjoy it, like that's what I thrive off of, is finding the things that people aren't willing to do that you take joy in. Yeah. And then you're going to be successful from that, because people are going to be like, oh my God, that's especially like so much time. And you're like, well, yeah, but like, I kind of like it.
Yeah. Yeah. And now more than ever, you can do that. Like everything is so niche these days. And like, if there's something unique that you like doing and you do it all the time, you can put it out there. There's going to be people, if you're putting out quality work and you're passionate.
Well, that's the thing about this. And I know we haven't talked too much about my photography, and I feel like I loved photography and I loved doing it, but
I don't like the D at the end of that.
Well, I still do. I still do, but the problem was I'm not a salesman.
Yeah, that's a problem with a lot of artists.
Yeah, most artists aren't.
My buddy who did the logo and who was my original co-host, he's so freaking talented, but he's like, it's not fun for me to like market and put things out there, and he's like it doesn't feel part of the art.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to convince you that my art is good. I want people to say, wow, your art is good.
Yeah.
You know, and like I tried a little bit with the photography stuff, and I think if I would have done certain things, or still if I would do certain things, you know, I could move some prints, I could do this or that. But when I started doing this, it was so cool to get messages in my DMs like, hey, I want to buy your thing.
That's so cool.
Like, when is it coming out?
Yeah.
I was like,
that's the dream.
Soon. Like, how, you know, like that was really cool for me to have something where I put a lot of passion and time and sweat and
somebody just noticed.
Somebody know that it's worth that.
Yeah.
And also to just throw out a price and be like, well, this is what I think. And then people pay that price. Yeah. You know, that's really cool for me. So
that is the dream.
Yeah.
And have you read the book, The War of Art?
No.
It's kind of like a play on the art of war. Joe Rogan always tells people to read it, but I did read it. And he essentially says, like, if you're an artist, the best way to live a fulfilled life as an artist is to eventually make it your job. That way you can do it as much as you can, you know?
Yeah.
So that's always been my goal, is like figure out a way to not to be like a sellout or I wish I could be a sellout. Like none of my stuff is good enough to be a sellout. But like I want it to be my job, even if I'm making like just enough to like pay the bills, but I can do it full time. That is the dream. I don't need to get rich off of this stuff, but just to be able to do it as much as I can. I do want to switch gears a little bit into you've done so much. So you've got No Anchor. One thing that I was like, anytime I see Mikey winning, I'm like, that's a win for all of us. 'Cause like I'm so happy whenever something great happens to you. Like when I saw they post about the Tesla, which I saw you roll up in, I was like, what a badass. Like, can you tell the story about how that, because I've always wondered how that came about. Like, did you have to pay taxes on it? Like, how did you win it? What was it through? You know, like all that.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like, it's funny because I feel like, so basically I won a Tesla from a
David Dobrik. No,
exactly. From Bank of the West put on this photography contest.
Yeah.
And they were highlighting green energy, sustainability, and their whole thing was trying to find a photograph that represented that with a caption that kind of like tied it all in together. So my buddy, his name is Ethan, and he
was also kind of a badass too.
Yeah. No, he is definitely a badass.
Yeah.
Like he has a channel called Grind Hard.
Yes, I've seen it. It's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
Go check it out.
Take, like,
Dad, if you're watching this, go check it out.
Yeah. So much fun. Anyways, he's just like this genius, and he built a treehouse on his property.
Yeah.
Really cool treehouse though. Not like
no, I think I've seen it. Yeah.
Like,
I thought you were gonna bring up the trike. I think it was. That's what I thought you were gonna talk about. But tree. I think I've seen the treehouse too.
Yeah. So he has like two. He has one that like rotates, like it's on a tree, and he has this crank, so you could like change where you're looking. Like just like a mad scientist.
Yeah.
Anyways, he has this tree house, and I went up there one day. I was like, "Hey, dude, can I like photograph your tree house? Because I just think it's really cool." You know? And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, whatever." And so I submitted one of those photos to the contest, and basically the caption was like, something like some idealist thing of we need to learn to like live with the land instead of like over it, you know. It's like a little like hippy dippy, but that's kind of what they were asking for, you know, like.
Yes, when I like applied for the grant thing,
yeah,
like I just had to be kind of as cheesy as possible.
Yeah, like you know, like you definitely need to like look at who your audience is, and you need to adjust for that, especially for things like a contest or something.
Yeah,
you know? Like, it's like I'm not trying to like say like this is my, which is another thing. People are like, you want a Tesla with a photo? Yeah, I gotta see the photo. And I'm like, dude, I do want to like see the photo that much. Like, it's okay, you know, but I love photo, like my landscape photos of like the places, you know, like I know the hours that go into certain photos, like where it's like a 4 or 5 day backpacking trip.
Yeah, the one with the goats. And that was like a composite, right? That was like
a little bit. So I have one shot of this goat in Glacier National Park, and it was right at sunset. There were like wildflowers, and he just walked right in front of me. So I was, oh, okay. Because that's another one where people are like, wow. Yeah. And it really was just like a mile or so hike. Yeah. And I feel like those are all the photos that kind of do well, you know, because people like to see things that they've seen, which I think is kind of interesting, because for me, what gets me excited about photos is like, whoa, like where is
the secret stuff?
Yeah. So that's what I shoot. And some people, you know, like I feel like there's a following that likes that, but the people with the money don't necessarily care. Like they go to Glacier, they want to buy a picture of Glacier to hang up to remember their trip to Glacier, you know. So anyways, I took the photo of it, and they messaged me and said that I freaking won. So.
So a little backstory to relate to that. It's when I got an email like a couple weeks after I submitted for the grant. Yeah. And they're like, we have a big surprise for you concerning your grant application. Reach out to us or whatever. And they included a link, but the link wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. I clicked it thousands of times. I tried on different computers, laptops, whatever, and the deadline was coming close. They're like, you have until this day to respond. And I was like, I want to cry. What is going on? Like, it was like so miserable. Like, I literally, this is how crazy I got. I looked up previous grant winners and reached out to them. I was like, do you have their contact info? Because if I lose this because of some system error, I'm going to just cry.
I've done that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I made a video. We won $5,000. Wow. And the fine print was that we needed to claim it within, it was like an Australian like YouTube competitor site. Like this was back when I was like grinding like video content and and my roommate at the time, Ed, he was like, dude, people are just making money on this site. Like you just upload your content and like they just kind of pay you. Yeah. And one of the things was like, it was like $5,000 and we like won. And we like celebrated, and then they're like we missed the deadline to talk to him about it. And we were just like young and stupid. Yeah. And I was like, what? I'm like, how is that even like legal? I
have to know. Did it work out, or was it just like,
no, we never got it.
That sucks.
Yeah, dude, it sucks.
I only had, I think, one person reach back out, and they're like, I don't have their info anymore. So I was like, no. Yeah. And then finally they send an email on like the last day, and they're like, hey, sorry, we had technical issues. I was like, do you know what you've done to me?
You're like, I'm having health issues, my guy.
Really though, I was so stressed. So what was it like when you got that? Did you get an email? Did you get a call, text?
It was a DM. Like it was super informal. It was like a Instagram DM from Bank of the West, and I think they sent like that Friends gif with them all like dancing.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, but yeah, so I won, and then I had to, I didn't actually have to pay any taxes on. They sent me the taxes for it, which I thought was super sick. Yeah.
That's a rarity.
Each year they'd send me a check for what the taxes would be for the lease. Yeah. And so,
so it was just, you get a Tesla.
Yeah.
You get a Tesla.
Well, for 3 years.
Oh, okay. What happens after the 3 years?
we either had to give it back or we could buy it.
Okay.
And with the market and how it was like a steal for what that was.
Yeah.
Like,
was it
we wanted it, but if we decided we didn't want it, it still would have made sense to buy it and then just sell it right away, and we would have made.
Yeah. So. Was it? So did you have to pay the full price in the end the full price of what it was valued at? Or?
Yeah. So when we got the paperwork, when we initially got it, they say, okay, here's the price of the car off the lot. Here's the price. Here's all the leasing and stuff, and here's what you can do the lease buyout, like how much you need to pay for the car at the end of the lease if you want it.
Well,
so.
Still, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I love Elon and I love Tesla.
Yeah, I know. And this specific one has free supercharging, so that was kind of like a thing they did for a while. And it transfers with the car, so the car will always have it. So I literally have never paid to like supercharge either. Oh my god! Which is like when I was talking to my wife, I'm like, that alone like is kind of worth like because when we go on like we're going to Thanksgiving with my family in Arizona, and like we were gonna fly, and I was like, dude, like it was like $700 a person.
We can just fall asleep in our driver's seat.
We'll just drive. I mean, it'll take 2 days and it'll kind of suck, but it'll be free.
Does it have any self-driving capabilities?
Yeah, it's got the full self-driving thing. And
you got hooked up, bro. That is so cool.
No, I know. It's dope.
I always wanted to ask you about that because I love Elon and Tesla.
It's like I got a lot of messages after it too, like, oh man, like you're so lucky, like how did you do this? And it's like that wasn't like I submit to like every contest.
Really?
Yeah. Well, at the time, I don't really do it anymore, but at the time, it's like any like photo contest, anything. Some were paid where I had to like submit $25 like per photo, and I do like 3 or 4 photos. And, because it, being able to say you're like a photographer with like awards and like this and that, it's some clout. So it's like I was always trying to like grind on that stuff, and so people were like, "Oh, you're so lucky," and it's like, well, yeah, but I also like a lot
of work behind.
Put a lot of work into it. Yeah. So
Do you foresee yourself ever going back into the photography world? Because you
I'm still put there. Like I enjoy.
You're so good at it.
I love photography. It's it's fun.
It's like if Quentin Tarantino like retired like 4 movies ago, and he's like, I just don't care anymore.
I don't know about that. No, I love photography, and I feel like it's my style has changed a lot. Where when I was getting into it, like my memories of it were like I had like 3 different lenses, and I would just like. If sunset started at, like 3 o'clock or not 3 o'clock, I'm thinking now.
Yeah.
In the summer, whatever. If sunset's for like
sunset at 8 in the morning. It stays up at 7 and then goes back down at 8.
We have like 3 hours of light. No, but like if sunset's like 3 hours, like I am shooting for 4 hours.
Wow.
Like just constantly like, oh, what's that? And swapping out lenses. And like, it was like exhausting, but it was just this like I loved it. Yeah. And a lot of people, I feel like as they get older, especially photographers, kind of learn to slow down a bit. And when you approach, like if you're going to shoot like Cannon Beach, or you're going to a spot, taking a day before, just kind of look around, scope it out, and then figure out where you want to shoot and when. Like sometimes I'll go on like Google Maps and I'll look. You can like adjust where the sun's gonna be.
Oh wow!
And like figure all that. Yeah. And I like when I go hiking now, I'll maybe take like 4 pictures, but like I really like those pictures. Whereas before I'd take like 4,000 pictures, and like I'd have a lot more to post, but it wouldn't be stuff. I'm like, whatever. Like we'll put that up.
Does it take a lot of time, like setting it up, framing, getting the lighting, everything correct, or are you so good at it now that you can just kind of?
Yeah, I think it depends. It depends a lot on like what you're trying to do and what you're shooting. But like I shoot with the R5, the Canon R5, and I love it. Yeah. My favorite feature on it is that because a lot of times you want to do a focus stack because I'm getting into those like landscapes that have a very prevalent like foreground.
Is that where you get multiple photos at different focuses?
Yeah. So like say this guy's like some nice flowers, and then we have like some tree over here, and then in the distance we have like the big main rock.
Yeah.
So if you're shooting from here, the way that a camera works is if you're focused on this, it's almost impossible to get all of it in focus. So the R5 has this thing where you can set it up, get this in focus, and then dial in some settings, click it once, and it goes
oh wow,
and just captures every focal length.
So cool.
Yeah. So it's super helpful, and it eliminates the need for a tripod sometimes.
Yeah.
And I hate shooting with tripods. Like I hate it because I just feel like it's like, for me, if I see something, I want to like set it up and shoot it and just move on to the next thing. With a tripod, it's like, oh, okay, you got to do this, you gotta, you know, and I'm sure you can get better at it and faster, but I've just always like been like, if I can do it without one, like,
well, do you ever use like a, what do they call it, the gimbal?
The little
or
gimbals?
Yeah,
no. I use it for video.
Yeah.
Like if I'm shooting a wedding or something.
I just learned what, like, I don't know if it's called this, but like something like an exposure stack where you can do the same thing with exposures. Yeah. Which I thought was a cool trick.
So sometimes I'll take multiples of the ones that, what I just said. I'll do that and then change my settings to be darker, change my settings to be lighter. I'll stack all those photos, put like 3 layers of it together, and then go through and paint. And
it's
that's like
too much. It's too much. Like, I love this world. Like, even like audio production. Like, if you look at Ableton, it looks like an alien spaceship workstation.
Yeah.
When you don't know what anything does.
Oh yeah,
and it's
for
like,
sure.
it's do many hours to
dude.
do something like in a professional way. Like,
Well, that's what's funny because I just like, I have a house now and I've never been like a fix-it guy.
Yeah.
But like my furnace just recently broke. So I was on YouTube, like we were talking about. I was on YouTube for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, what's this guy say? What's this guy say?
Yeah.
And like then my
1.75 speed, just get through this.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, exactly.
It's getting cold.
And then the faucet broke. And then
Emily's over there freezing. Like, did he tell you yet? What's the issue?
Then the faucet broke. She can't drink.
Just finish those mugs.
Okay. But yeah, like with everything, it's just like there's so many little things, and I feel like in the past it was like, well, we need to call somebody.
Yeah.
You know, or you know, for all this. Oh well, I can't do it because I don't know how to light. We got to get a lighting guy.
Yeah.
And with now it's like just jump on YouTube. You have to take the time. I feel like I say this a lot I mean, I've done a few podcasts and stuff, but I feel like when you look at anything like artistic or anything in general, you're trading your experience for your time.
Yeah.
So you could do the same thing that any of these crazy artists can do if you put in a lot more time.
Yeah.
Right. And so as you get better and better, you use less time because your experience grows. And for me, that's just, it's kind of reassuring because I'm like, okay, yeah, like anything's really possible. Like we could do that. Like you could figure out the audio thing. You need this, that. It's going to take a lot more time and you got to be committed but you could do it.
And it feels so, it's like a proud moment when you finally figured out how to do these certain things and they're working out. And
this stuff. I mean, it's like, cause like you said, oh, that took a long time to sculpt it. Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, like for me, like for like anyone else who's like done any pottery stuff, like they could have whipped it out like easy. I feel like
that's why I think in my mind it's the dream to be financially independent from your art, because the more you get paid to do it, the more you get to do it, the better you get at it, and the better paying jobs you get from doing it. It's like this whole, it drives me nuts that like you'll see somebody like Trisha Paytas or something, or like just some hack person on Instagram, like yeah, I just bought a $15 million house and I just make stupid videos, and I'm like, there's actual artists out there. Why are we propping this bozo up?
Oh, I know. But it's funny, man. Like the wealth thing. Like I forget what I was watching. I should have. I don't remember his name, but he was talking about wealth and how it's like every wealthy person he'd ever met, like it's not some like secret sauce or something. It's like they know how to do something.
Yeah.
They can do it well, and they do it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And I think a big thing is like getting out of your own way, because I get in my own way so much.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. Like I'm a pretty bad perfectionist sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which can be good and can be bad.
I'm cursed because I'm a bit of a perfectionist too, but I've never made anything even close to perfect. So it's just like it's all dog shit. So I'm never satisfied.
Oh, dude, done's better than perfect. For sure.
Yeah. Like even with music, like it's so dumb. I've been making music for so many years. I have never finished a song, and like that's something I'm really trying to work on and buckle down this year, because like I make really cool people. Okay, it's not true that I've never finished a song. I've got to, but I've never released anything to people, because it's like I'm always insecure about it, or like, you know.
Do you want to release it to people?
I do so badly.
Well, then do it, bro. Because some people are like that, you know. It's like their thing, and they like to do it, and then they feel good about it, and then they're like, okay, I'm done. Like I don't care. Like I don't need to show.
I have a buddy who's been staying here, and he brought his friend over, and they were like, show us your music, and I like played it, and they're like, I would like, can you send me your SoundCloud? I was like, everything on SoundCloud is private. Like it's all locked. So if I send it to you, like, I can't. But it was cool, because like you know, some people tell me like, I really like your stuff. Like, and I'm just like, none of it's finished. Like I can't like, and so I'm all over the place, because I have so many interests. Like I love doing the podcast. I love making music. I started a vinyl record channel that I'm trying to do, and it's all time consuming, and it's, you know, and so a lot of it too is like finding direction and staying focused, because that's hard for me too.
I just like live off of checklists.
Yeah.
Like on my phone, just in notes, like making a little bubble with the checklist. I say, okay, today, like these are all the things that I want to get done. I know I'm not going to get them all done, but I better check off at least like 2 or 3 of these to feel like good. Yeah. And if I don't, I better come up with something else to like check off.
Yeah. There was a podcast I just produced for this company, and the woman on there was like, I love checklists, and sometimes I'll just write, wake up, take a shower, just so I can have something to cross off my list. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of like, all right. What's the situation? I want to show this shirt, because I bought this and another shirt from Mikey. I don't know if I bought it or he gave it to me. I can't remember. I'd like to think I bought it. Yeah. But this guy.
We'll say you bought it.
Yeah, years ago, which I always thought was a sweet shirt. This is the back. I was gonna wear it, but I've gained some weight since I bought this, and it's a bit stained. But this was a No Anchor project, right? Yeah. And then what was Western Youths?
That was kind of just like that was like our clothing, not so much a clothing line. I don't know what it was really.
Are you still doing No Anchor, or is it still going into like on? Is anybody else working?
I don't know if it was like ever like going. Yeah. No Anchor was kind of this thing that me and I went to college with a good friend of mine. We were roommates, and literally on the same day, like we kind of came to each other with the same thing. It was like really weird. I was like, dude, we should like get a camera. And he was like, dude, I was going to ask you if you wanted to buy a camera.
Wait, this is before you even did any photography kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it was
before or after high school?
That was, well, so I did do a little photography in high school. Yeah. It was mostly like playing around and stuff, but nothing serious. So this was college, my first year of college. So 2012, 13, something like that.
Probably 13.
Yeah. Because I graduated 2011 from high school, but then but I did some community college before, so this is when we left. So somewhere around there, like 2013, 14. But yeah, I didn't really have my own. I had a camera, but it was like a power shot, you know, like you couldn't like swap lenses on it or anything. Yeah. It was just like your basic camera. But so I was like, hey, we should get a camera, and he's like, I think so too. And I was going to school for digital art and design. Yeah. So
which you were also very good at.
Yeah.
Screw you, man. Why are you so good at everything you do?
I'm not, dude. I just only show you the good stuff.
I remember in high school you doing like drawings and like all this digital stuff, and I was like, rah. Like I remember those like slime kind of. Yeah, those
that
were
was like
wicked
my
cool.
one. That was like my
Yeah,
thing.
it
Like
was
make it
so
slimy.
cool. Yeah,
Like I knew how
yeah.
to do that.
But yeah, so you guys bought a camera.
Yeah, so we decided to buy a camera, and I just always loved clothes. Like I like shopped at like Zoomies and like skate stuff. Like I watched MTV, so I always thought it'd be cool to like be Rob Dyrdek and like own my own brand and all that. So there's like a little bit of that. Oops, there's a little bit of
What?
I just punched your mic.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
So there's a little bit of that, and also we were like obsessed with Red Bull. Like we loved like those Red Bull videos because that's when they were like super popular. Like they'd release like some skate video,
some
or
badass
the Art of
thing.
Flight, like that snowboard film and all that stuff. And we just wanted to like do that. So we were like, well, let's just do it and like imitate that. So
you guys cultivated a dope aesthetic. You guys had a very succinct kind of style.
Because when we started in Florida, it was more like we shot a lot of parkour kids because that was the extreme sport that we could get in with. And we met like
there's no barrier to entry. You just go.
Yeah, you just
meet guys who do it.
And no one cared. Like at the time, I think it was when parkour was really starting to like
kick off.
Kick off. And so
I'm assuming these guys are like, yeah, I'll take free recording.
Oh yeah, and a lot of them was crazy. Were like kids, you know, like they were like teeny, and then they'd be doing these like fulls,
crazy,
and
dangerous things,
just like all over the place. So it was really fun, and we met a lot of people that way. But we also gained a lot of experience doing that stuff. And something that Red Bull did was they did a few. I think well, maybe not Red Bull didn't do that. Oh, it was Hard Rock Records. We did a music video for a band that was under Hard Rock Records. So we started doing like music videos and stuff, which we made like 4 or 5 of those. And it was really cool because at my school, at college, I went to Full Sail University, and there I would have a project for class, and I would be like, hey, so I'm trying to shoot like a music video for like Hard Rock Records thing. And the teacher, I was like, I know we have this thing to do, but like, can I do that anyway? Yeah. And they're like, yeah.
Ah, that's so cool.
They're like, yeah, because that's like what they're trying to, you know, like what's better than actually going
out in the field and
obviously I had to kind of prove to them that it was like real because I could see some, oh dude, I got this sweet gig, you know, like, and the teacher's like, but yeah, so we learned a lot doing that, and then that just kind of evolved, and we wanted to have clothes. We wanted the athletes we were filming to have our clothes, you know, the same kind of Red Bull thing without the energy drink.
Yeah.
So.
And what kind of, was it a great camera that, because I remember those days, and you had some badass footage.
We shot with a 7D, a Canon 7D. That was our first camera. And we had a glide cam, which, do you remember, what's his, oh gosh, I don't remember his first name. Supertramp was his last name. It's like Devin Supertramp, I think. He was huge on YouTube. I don't know if he still is, but he kind of like became popular for that glide cam shot where he would like sprint, like you're just like hauling with this thing. And I was pretty good at it. Like Ed would always make me do it because like the way I ran, you had to kind of like to like, because it could still bounce around. But basically a glide cam is like this metal pole with weights on
you guys made one, right?
And we tried.
I have stalked you for so many years. I know everything about you.
That's awesome that you know that. Yeah, we tried and it just didn't work super good. We also tried to make like a dolly, like out of PVC and like Home Depot parts, and it worked okay, but we never actually used it too much.
But is it, so I'm always wondering, like, can I do that kind of stuff with the cameras that I have? I'm always wondering, like, what kind of, they're not,
because the glide cam, all it is like a little tripod thing.
Oh, what I mean, I guess, is what I mean, like, the kind of quality of the videos you guys were putting out there.
Oh, yeah. No, these are awesome. The GH5s are great for that sort of thing. But
that just means I need to know how to use a camera better. Because the shots that I get, I'm like, this is trash.
Dude, it's real. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, the gear doesn't, like, really matter, and I'm kind of in that camp where it's like just figuring out when to use certain gear and how to use that gear, and getting consistent with that, and then you can,
I'm still, because these are matching cameras. Well, one's like a newer version. But I still don't even know how to match the shots with the different lenses, because these are the only lenses I have. I think I have one or two more there, but it's like they look significantly different. And it's like, so I just
no, it's just trial and error.
Do what you can with what gear you have, and just keep going. You know?
No, absolutely.
But man, you have done so many cool things. Your life is crazy.
No, I've really. I feel like I'm just very curious, and I enjoy starting things. I'm not so good at finishing them, but I feel like a lot of artists are that way.
I'm notoriously bad about it, and that's something I'm trying to work on lately, because it's like I spend all this time. If I'm not working or spending time with family, I'm just in this room doing everything I can, but it always feels like nothing is ever getting finished, or you know, and like even with the podcast, I'm trying to be more consistent by, you know, varying it, like having guests, or you know, having my old co-host through Discord. I'll video chat him and do that, and then I'm trying to do the Spanish one to like fill up episodes, but it's like, well, it's starting hard to get gas.
It's hard, dude. It's hard to navigate things when ultimately what you just want to do is create and make cool stuff, and not, because that was hard too for the no anchor stuff. Like I said, you know, it's like, what were we like? We shot action sports, we shot music videos, we shot like this branding stuff. Like we didn't have like a set like goal, and I think if we would have had that, we probably would have succeeded a bit better than what we did. But ultimately what it was what it started out, the goal of it was to be a collective of artists doing what they're best at.
The dream.
And like
that
showing
is the
that
dream,
up. And then like just being able to So I think I still really like the concept of no anchor and how it was set up. I just don't think that we necessarily had the tools or the desire to bring it to a place where we initially thought that it would go.
Sorry about this fly.
Oh, it's all right.
This rogue fly. A future dream of mine is to have a house like this size. This is a pretty big house. I bought it with my dad, so it's my dad is co-owner of this house. But I have, like I said,
dude, with this market,
10 people living
you're
here.
Lucky to have a house, bro. Like,
well, I went from true, but I went from in 9 years, I went from having 0 nieces and nephews to 9 nieces and nephews. That's like a new one every year. And I have brothers and sisters who are kind of a mess, and so they need a place. So it's like, let's buy the house that we grew up in, and we also got we got like $60,000 off the house because it was family owned.
Damn. That's awesome.
We really scored. Where was I a house like this size, and having like a collective, and like each room there could be like a podcast room, a music room, a fucking clay room, like that would be the dream, because you have so many different people with different skill sets that all bring something to the table. And so if you need, you know, if you're all working together and collaborating, like these content houses with like Logan Paul and shit, where you got these morons just like, today we're gonna flip this fucking car, bro, and it's like, you have so much money at your disposal, and you're doing the dumbest shit.
You know why? Because the dumbest shit sells, dude. That's what people want to watch.
But I always thought it'd be cool to have like a house that everybody see this stupid thing. It's all dim. To have a house like everybody's like part of, and you know, pitching in on, you know, the cost of it, keeping it afloat, but then everybody's, you know, doing their own thing and monetizing it and making their income that way. But
no, absolutely.
That would just be.
I think that was a dream for a while for me too, and then I got married, and now my dream's to just like be with my wife and be able to do whatever the hell I want.
That is
like not have to deal with like, because to me like I said before, like that sounded awesome, and to me now like that sounds like a
lot of work, or lots of
like having all these people like that you have to like manage and figure it out. Like I don't know.
You just indirectly called me lonely. You calling me out for being single, Mikey?
No.
No, just kidding. No, but when I do see you, I've followed you guys for years, and
it's
you
just growth, dude. Like just where I am as a person, like it just changes.
Well,
like what I
you
want
guys
and what
seem
I'm trying
like
to
just
do.
like power couple. Like
Yeah,
you
no,
guys
she's
seem
like-
so in tune with each other.
Yeah.
And, you know.
No,
what you
she's
guys
my
do.
best
Yeah.
friend for sure.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to meet someone and be able to have support like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, me like working on this
Mhm.
and you know, because I took up a lot of time that like me and her could have been
Yeah.
spending together doing
Yeah.
things, whatever. You know, I'm at the table working on this thing. I'm like researching. I'm doing this and that. You know, there's a lot that goes into a marriage and keeping it afloat. And so it's like any outside thing, you really need to manage that.
Yeah, because it
And-
pulls time away.
yeah, and then there's overstepping and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I mean, and she's been nothing but supportive of anything really that I want to do. Like, oh, can I help? Can I do this?
Yeah.
Like,
And then
that
that
just
thing
blows
that
my mind because I'm more the opposite. Like I'm like the doer and I'm the one that wants to pick things and learn about things. So the fact that someone wants to just like, yeah, I'll help you.
God.
Like that's really cool.
Quit calling me lonely.
She's out.
I'm editing.
She's waiting.
I'm not including any.
She's
of this.
waiting for you somewhere.
My viewer base is incels, so I'm not letting them see any of this.
You
No, I'm
have
just
to.
kidding.
You gotta change your Tinder to looking for a sound producer.
Yeah,
like,
really, though.
looking for a
The thing
lighting
is,
goddess.
I have like the dating apps. I don't include any of that stuff, like any of the stuff that I do,
Yeah.
because it feels like look at me, I do this cool stuff. You should like me, and it's
yeah.
like. Fuck. But it is
They
like what I
should
like
like
to.
you.
Yeah, it is what I like to do, and
Yeah, I don't think you should feel weird about
Yeah.
it. I mean, I think you should put it in
Yeah.
there, dude.
Yeah.
Be like,
Okay.
I have a freaking podcast. I got
Yeah.
a grant.
I
bitch."
feel especially embarrassed telling people I have a podcast because like everybody and
Really?
their dog has a podcast these days, and it's like, oh, good for you. And it's like
Yeah.
I do it out of my house and like whatever, but it is the thing I enjoy doing. Like, you
Yeah.
know,
No, I mean, I've thought about doing it too. and
I
it's-
think you should. I've always thought you should because you somehow have curated like this dope ass friend group of just talented people. Like you know so many talented people.
Yeah.
And
They're kind of idiots, but they are talented.
but you guys, I'm sure they all have crazy cool stories of creative things they've done. And
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
you'd be so much better of a podcaster
Yeah.
than I am.
No, I don't
Yeah.
know about that, dude.
But yeah, so if you ever want to get into that,
Yeah,
holla,
I know a guy,
'cause-
dude.
Yeah.
But that's is just another thing, right?
Yeah, another
and for
time
my
sucks.
stuff, that's why it's hard for me when I say, oh, like I used to take photos or whatever. I feel like whenever I get something like a new hobby or something that I'm interested in, I like put up my blinders and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Not in a unhealthy way most of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
a little maybe obsessive, but yeah. So like with this stuff, like we're finishing up those guys. These guys actually officially haven't even been released yet. So we're gonna do a release of
I gotta
those.
buy one for John. That would be the
And then we're
his present is
John.
his birthday's coming up in December.
Oh,
But you're gonna be sold out soon, aren't you?
I think I have one left
Uh-huh.
currently, and then I have like 3 or 4 left in case any break while they're
Oh,
going.
okay.
Because I like to have them if they break. Oh my gosh! I'm
Yeah.
like, I got you.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
another one's coming.
Do you have any of those guys left?
Well, like I said, we actually haven't made any more.
Oh,
Of these.
okay.
We had a few that I just did with this drop,
Yeah.
but those are all gone. So I don't have any of these right now. But when we do the thing, I'll let you know when it's
Okay.
When it's
Well,
out.
do you think it'll probably be after December 1st, huh?
Yeah.
God dang it.
Yeah,
That's his
no,
birthday.
It will be
Because he's in the tiki world, so
Yeah. Well, if you want to buy this one, you're gonna have to talk to my wife.
yeah. Okay. Oh, is that the only one that's painted that way and all that stuff?
Well, currently that we have.
It's the coolest one.
I know.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Get those out there, man.
I know, right? Well, they take a long time because she has to do 3 coats of each
Oh, geez.
color.
Yeah.
And she's so precise. She's gotten a lot better, but
Yeah.
it used to take her like freaking like 2 hours per one. I was
Oh,
like, dude,
wow.
we got to change something. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not trying to like run a sweatshop here. Like, you, like,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And for the hours that it takes to create these, they're priced fairly well.
Yeah. No, I
like
mean,
that's a good deal for the hours that go into.
that's the thing. And what's interesting is there's so many, like the whole tiki subculture thing is like huge.
Yeah.
Like there's people who have rooms dedicated to their tiki mug collection.
Wow. Yeah.
And like their South Pacific art collections and that sort of thing. Like I'm looking to maybe turn my office into something like that. I know, right?
This guy is such a jerk. I have
He knows. He
zapper
saw me.
thing. Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, we can probably wrap up in a bit. Is there anything you want to talk about? This was awesome because I'm super grateful that you came on because again,
dude, I'm glad
you're my first guest that I wanted, like,
dude,
from the jump.
thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like you give me too much credit, like, because for me, it's like you just do what you like to do.
Yeah.
And, you know,
But
and I don't have like, I don't know. It takes a lot of time to do to get good
at
something.
anything.
And I think I enjoy the process of like, I mean, there's a bunch of examples, but one that I say a lot is like Apex. Have you played Apex Legends, dude?
Jesus.
Have you played it?
My buddy who's been staying here, he is like the gamerest gamer I've ever met. He legit plays 11 hours a day sometimes. Like he'll stay up till 4 a.m. and he's got his Discord group and they're all like, go here, blah blah blah. And like you just hear him screaming in the other room. Yeah. And so he's like, gotta hop on CS:GO. You gotta do Apex. You gotta do Valorant. Like
for me, like I always played like video games because it was just a way for me to kind of like de-stress and stuff. And so I tried to play Apex and like I was like trash. Like I never played any of those like battle royale games.
Oh yeah,
and I was like pretty good at like Halo and Call of Duty. Like
it's different though.
I was about like 3rd place most of the time, but I like got some 1st place. But with Apex, it's like I couldn't even get a kill, and I die.
Yeah.
And instead of being like, screw this game, like I was like, I'm gonna get good at this fucking game. Like and so like I took like a month or two and then just like you like watch streamers and do this thing and just like, and then I got to a point where I was like, I still wasn't winning, but I was able to get kills and I understood and like that was like a really fun like progression.
You doing mouse or?
No, I do it on the Xbox. Yeah.
It's a no-no for gamers.
I know. And I
started they shit on me all the time because I'm like, I miss controller. Like, suck it up and learn a mouse. Because like,
it's like way more accurate to do it
and
that
quick
way,
and no game talk. I don't like games.
Screw video games. Waste our time.
He's just so obsessed.
Well,
with
that's
video
you
games.
gotta balance the.
And to me, it's like this could be time spent like working on music or doing that stuff and because the way I say it, I explained it to him. It's like the same thing with sports. It's like the outcome is the same every time. One guy wins, one guy loses. Like at least if you're working on something artistic, you're but I get it how it's a de-stressor thing. But
It's like I don't know. I think it's healthy to have something that isn't like solely based on like a real life problem or goal that you're trying to do. You need to play around a little bit, but not too much.
But no, any credit I give you is well deserved because you're.
Well, thanks.
Like I said, I've always looked up to you. You just.
Well, dude, I looked up to you because I feel like in high school, like me and you were pretty good buddies. And like, because I honestly didn't get along with a ton of people
partners.
at G Prep. Yeah, Foursquare. I don't know. I felt like I didn't fit in super well there. Yeah. But you were a good buddy, so I appreciated that.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, let's end on that, guys. Those feel good moments.
Those feel good.
Thanks, guys. Glad you got to meet Mikey because he's awesome. So.